Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to the newest edition of the EKN OutLap as we kick off our EKN Trackside coverage of this coming weekend Superkarts USA Pro Tour Winter Nationals down at Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. It's March the 25th, 2025, episode 88. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole. He and I will both be heading south to Texas on Thursday for our coverage of the event. This OutLap, our preview show, brought to you by Factory Karts. Made in the USA. It's not just a statement, it's the mission at Factory Karts of America. Led by five-time Super Nationals champion Billy Musgrave, Factory Karts manufactures their frames completely in-house at their Phoenix, Arizona facility. Built and designed from the ground up specifically for the karting market in America, Factory Karts brings new innovations and solutions that are long overdue. No other karting manufacturer stands behind its product as Factory Karts does, providing a 2-year warranty on all their frames. Learn more by visiting factorykarts.com or email info@factorykarts.com. All right, David Cole, let's get into this one here. We'll cap off Q1 of the 2025 season here this weekend when we head down to Texas to Speed Sports Racing Park. You've finally been there now, so you know the facility. I've been there numerous times. March 28th to 30th, the date on the event. Pro Tour for Superkarts USA about to begin.
About to begin, yeah, the 16th season of the championship. We've been to nearly all the events. At least I've been at one, or you've been at one. Yeah. We've had the kind of the flip and the flop, depending on schedules over those first 15 years of the program. But we were certainly there for the beginning in 2012 or 2010. In Sonoma. In April of 2010, it was the beginning of what has become the Pro Tour. And it's been a long journey. It certainly has. I want to become one of the long-standing programs in the country, among the longest. There's others and other events as well too. But the momentum certainly on Superkarts USA's side right now with what is supposed to be a record turnout this weekend and what will be again a mix. You got 2 rounds of racing for nearly all the categories except for Pro Shifter running, their pro show style format. So again, this championship, a best 5 of 6 for those categories, running 2 finals each weekend, and then a 3-event championship for the Pro Shifter category. And as you said, I've been to Speed Sports, and unfortunately, every time I've been to Speed Sports, it's rained. So 2025 has been good up until I think this weekend, where we are going to get some rain.
Yeah, when I started looking at that on the weekend, I was kind of scrolling through New Caney, Texas. Oh, please, no. There's 50% chance of rain. Last I looked, maybe not on Sunday. I think you had that down here as clear and warm on Saturday and Sunday. Things are kind of coming in a little earlier, I think, in terms of the weather. So potentially rain on Thursday and Friday. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it all plays out. But again, starting off the Pro Tour down at Speed Sports Racing Park. I've been there, of course, back in the days of the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. I was there doing some testing and training with Alan Rudolph before I ran the Super Nationals back in 2023. But again, we talked about the fact that this is starting off the program, right, for the Superkarts USA Pro Tour. 3 events on the season: Winter Nationals, Spring Nationals, Summer Nationals, Spring Nationals, heading to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. I won't be able to make the next 2. Actually, this is the only race I'll do this year, the Pro Tour, with the conflicts. And then, of course, wrapping things up at Newcastle Motorsports Park, as always, with the Summer Nationals. David kind of teased a little bit about the numbers, lots of big numbers for sure. We'll get into that after the first break into the next segment when we have our by the numbers look. But looking at the layout, David, 0.8 of a mile. We're going to run in the clockwise direction, which is fantastic. Again, this track, we remember when it started, we were talking to Alan, hey, I'm going to build a racetrack. And, as he and his partner was able to put that together. 2015 now, opened in 2016. It's crazy to think it's been open for 8 years, over 8 years now.
Yeah, it's become kind of the hotbed for karting in Texas. Certainly a lot of people have gone through there, a lot of different programs, but this is the first time Superkarts USA will be visiting the facility. They held the IKF Grand Nationals before, USPKS, Rotax Racing, just hosted Florida Winter Tour Rock Cup USA finale last weekend. So it's had everybody and anybody come to their facility. And Rob, you said you've driven it. What makes kind of Speed Sports unique from a lot of the other racetracks that we go to?
Well, here's the thing. It's really interesting, David, because tracks get designed and built by certain people. A lot of the older tracks have been around a long time. Some of them have been around since, the 60s, 70s, 80s kind of a thing. Obviously, a track like Trackhouse, formerly GoPro Motorplex, is a takeoff of another, Italian circuit. This is straight Alan Rudolph, right? And this is a guy that has been around the sport for a long time. He's done shifters. He's raced everything, right? But he had
He's a Hall of Fame member.
He's a Hall of Fame member, yeah. And again, he had it in his mind, hey, you know what? I want a track that's really, it's going to be good for everything, but I want a really great shifter track. And the very first time I went there and announced a race, and I always do this every time I get to a track, how many overtaking opportunities are there? And there's at least 6 at this racetrack. That's the thing about it. The track, the way it flows, there's so much opportunity to overtake.
And when you say flow, it's not like a K1 circuit where it's a lot of flat out corners.
No.
This is a beat up kind of racetrack that goes back and forth. So a lot of chicanes, not chicanes, but S's. Yeah. And then you got a 180 to another 180 to a 90 to a 90. So there's a lot of back and forth surrounding that. So it makes for an interesting concept to a racetrack and again, it's tight too, because it's all in this confined area. It's not spread out. You can see, excuse me, you can see I'm getting over a cold. So
Dave's on his deathbed, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I'm dying soon. So, you can almost see the entire racetrack from one spot. There's a couple blind spots because of the rental cart building, from the grid area. So that's kind of the only bad part about it. But if you go up on the rental cart building, you can see the entire racetrack. So,
and listen, again, let's go back to what you said about K1. Perfect example, right? That's a big, wide open, fast flowing racetrack. Right. This one, you said it. It's tighter. It's more technical. I think it's significantly more technical than a K1. And the complex of corners that leads onto the back straightaway are so tough to get done right that you make a mistake, drop a wheel on the exit, and that's when you get overtaken at the end of the straightaway. Right? There's so much places where you can make a minor mistake and someone's going to be able to eat up on you, and that's what allows a lot of the overtakes.
Yeah, certainly does. And it has the long straightaway, so you get that speed factor in. And the straightaways are actually pretty long. Yeah. You got the front straight where the finish line is. I thought Neil Strickland told me they were going to start everybody on the back stretch.
They've done that before.
So a lot of programs use that front straightaway to start everybody. But if I recall correctly, I think Neil Strickland told me they're going to utilize the backstretch because, and we'll get into it after our first break, is huge numbers in Pro Shifter and X30 Pro. So you're going to need that long straightaway to get everybody on the same straightaway to do both standing starts and rolling starts as well. So, but of note, Rob, this is the first SCUSA Pro Tour event west of the Mississippi River since June of 2023 when we went to Utah for the Spring Nats.
It's not a California race or a Pacific Northwest race. I get that when we talk about SCUSA being a national program for so many years running on both coasts during the 3-race program. Of course, the early years of the Pro Tour wrapping up with the Super Nats in Las Vegas. But yeah, you're right. This is the first one west of the Mississippi River since we were out in Utah back in 2023. So you never know whether or not SCUSA will take the Pro Tour to K1 or something like that in the future if they had enough paddock. But yeah, this is cool. I'm glad to see the Pro Tour go to Allen's track. He was waiting for that big race. He got USPKS, which was awesome, well deserved, and a track of this ilk deserves a Pro Tour race. And I think they're going to put on a show this weekend in a big way.
Yeah, it's definitely, one of patience trying to get everybody in the paddock. I think they've been able to work that side of it out. It's now the parking that everybody's concerned with. You have the hotel right nearby, so a lot of the staff are there, so you won't have cars for staff members, maybe some golf carts to bring people back and forth. But you got the rental cart track. I think they're going to start using that to park on. You never know. But you also have the food area that just got built up last year, finished last year, where they can utilize some extra parking. So the event schedule set to, kick off Wednesday and Thursday with unofficial practice. Then we'll dive into official practice on Friday. You have 4 rounds of 7-minute sessions and then a 12-minute session to wrap up the day. Then we go into round 1 on Saturday with warm-up, qualifying, pre-final, and finals. You'll have 10-lap pre-mains with all the categories except for cadet running 9, and then the main events running 20 laps with 18 for the cadet divisions. Then we'll do that all over again for the majority of the categories on Sunday for round 2. And as I said, Pro Shifter running the Pro Show program. Saturday will be qualifying, the Super Pole session, Heat 1 and Heat 2. That'll line everybody up for the pre-final on Sunday. That'll be 14 laps, and then a 25-lap main event on Sunday to decide this year's WinterNationals winner in the Pro Shifter category.
So, Dave, that's the evolution for this year, right? The fact that only the Pro Shifters will have the Pro Show and the Pro X30 going back to 2 mains.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to hear kind of the feedback from the X30 guys. I know there was kind of they wanted more track time. Yeah. I think was kind of the thing where the Pro Shifter guys weren't really on board with it, and I think they liked the way the format was last year because again, a lot of these guys, they don't need 8 to 9 practice sessions on a weekend. They much rather race.
So yeah, I like that. We're gonna have qualifying, Super Pole, and a couple of heats on Saturday, pre-final and final on Sunday for Pro Shifter. This is going to be big, folks. When we get back from this first break, we'll tell you why it's going to be big because I'll give you the teaser here right now. Over 300 entries for this weekend's WinterNationals, and we'll see. That's not even with walk-ups. 306 is the number we were given. So when we get back, we'll break it down over the categories that are lined up for this weekend. History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today.
Welcome to AIM Sports and the groundbreaking Micron 6 karting data logger. Since its inception, AIM Sports has been at the forefront of motorsport technology, revolutionizing how racers gather data. From its early days, AIM has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and we're excited to celebrate 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features, including 25Hz GPS with mil-spec precision, a 6-axis inertial platform, shift lights and alarms, temperature inputs, and a host of wired and wireless expansions. With 2 CAN buses, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi, it's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. With its advanced suite of sensors, high-speed data acquisition, and easy-to-use interface, the Micron 6 delivers unparalleled performance on track. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this powerful tool helps you analyze every turn, every lap, even every heartbeat. Imagine a tool that not only records your lap times, but also analyzes parameters like speed, tire temperature, driver inputs, and engine performance. With the Micron 6, you'll gain insights that can shave seconds off your times and elevate your skills behind the wheel. Don't just drive, be data-driven. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6 to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron.
Welcome back to episode 88 of our EKN OutLap. This show brought to you by Factory Karts of America. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. Kicking off our coverage of this coming weekend, Superkarts USA WinterNationals, the opening round of the Pro Tour, 16th edition of the event. Let's jump into the buy the numbers right now. David, I know we've been watching this very closely. Scusa, of course, has been leveraging it, pushing it out on social media as they closed in on the 300 mark. Here, as we record this podcast here on Tuesday, 306 pre-entries. In fact, 3 categories, David, tied for the high 46. X30 Junior, KA 100 Junior, and KA 100 Senior. All 46 entries heading into the weekend.
Yeah, those categories all sold out. So that is the reason for the 46 number. So they are where they are at.
Yep.
I was trying to get to, hold on a second here. I'm trying to get to my community thing. Yeah, so Pro Shifter and Mini Swift are still open. Mini Swift at 44, Pro Shifter at 43. So those technically could have some walk-up entries in those categories. But yeah, to have 3 categories, of course, KA 100 Senior and Junior, we knew were going to be sold out. Those were just ones that sold out the quickest. The surprise to me is the X30 Junior category going to 46, getting sold out, because it wasn't just 2 years ago that we were wondering how long is this class going to last.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Listen, we saw numbers down to the high 20s, right? Like it's,
low teens. I mean, we were at like 15 drivers. If you want to go back, like we could go back to that. Like the Pro Tour, we had less than 20 drivers in X30 Junior racing.
Wow. And they're back to 46 right now. Amazing.
Yeah. And again, we say it show in and show out. It's the ebbs and flows of the sport. Yep. And this is the time where there's a lot of kids in that 12 to 15 range that are racing karts right now. So that's what it boils down to, is those in that age group. It's again, only a 3-year span. That's what you get sometimes. And right now you're seeing a lot of younger drivers, the 12 to 13 year olds, moving up and wanting to be in that X30 Junior category because they've been racing since 4.
Exactly. As we said, 306 pre-entry, so we're not going to see a 340 based on any kind of walk-ups. As David said, the 3 categories already locked down, a couple very close, Pro Shifter and Mini Swift. That even if they topped out, we'd be looking at 5 extra entries. The numbers would have to come in Micro Swift or Master Shifter. You don't normally see a lot of Micro Swift kids walk up. They're pretty much a pre-entry class. So there is room in Pro X30, 38 there, 12 in Master Shifter. David, are you surprised by just the 12 in Master Shifter, considering that we did have some decent numbers in Florida, and then Texas being kind of a shifter-centric place to a certain extent, at least over the years?
Yeah, I think double digits is a win for the category, certainly. Again, ebbs and flows. There's drivers that are focused on other different programs. I talked to Joe Ruck this morning. He said they're not doing the Pro Tour this year. I would assume he's going to do Newcastle because it's a home race, but he's been doing Challenge of the Americas. I'm probably certain he's going to do Stars Championship Series as well. So he's kind of focused on those 2 programs. And again,
I think David, what he told me as well, that he may have done the Pro Tour, except for the fact that the Spring Nats are on the same weekend as the Indy 500. And that's something he and the family do every year. So he'll be at Newcastle for sure. Yeah, I would know.
When the Summer Nationals come around. So, but again, focusing on the other programs, and again, scheduling has a lot to do with it, because Memorial Weekend for the Spring Nats is certainly going to be kind of a wild card. We'll see where the numbers end up. Obviously, once we have the big one here, there'll be drivers going, you know what? I'm not in the championship. Why do I go to Ohio? So that's the negativity of the sport, unfortunately, but that's possibly what could happen. So, I just did see a video that Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati doing a lot of revision with that turn 1 area, nearly getting that completed in terms of construction. So I would assume by the time they start racing here in the next couple of weeks, once the weather does get to warm up here in the Northern Hemisphere.
We got teased a little bit there.
Got a little tease last couple of weeks, but it definitely is. The snow yesterday and today is not fun, but that they're definitely making sure that the Spring Nationals is going to be ready to go once everybody heads there Memorial Weekend. But yeah, 12 drivers in the Master Shifter. And when we get in the breakdown, there's still some interesting names in that category for sure. So it's going to be a fun class to watch.
I agree. By the Numbers is the name of this segment. So let's go a little deeper into it, David. 306 pre-entries for WinterNationals. The Winter Series itself was big. 316 at the first race at Orlando, 288 at the second race in February. So big numbers already for 2025 for Superkarts USA. We'll see how it rolls, as David said, when we get to Cincinnati. But Dave, let's talk about some of the bigger events of the last 16 years of the Pro Tour as well. Is this the biggest one they've ever had?
Yeah, this is the biggest. This is biggest by far in terms of a Pro Tour event. Obviously, as you just said, not quite a record because of the Winter Series beating that. But again, that's a Winter Series record. But for Pro Tour, this weekend will be a record, first time ever over the 300 mark. The highest total up until this weekend was 261 at the Summer Nationals in 2017. And then 257 was the number for Winter Nationals and Spring Nationals. Winter Nationals last year was 257, and then 2016 it was 257 and for the Spring Nats. And guess where? Sunny Phoenix.
Right, go Phoenix, man. That was a long time. It was a long time ago. For goodness sake, that's 9 years ago. David, let's talk about guys doing double duty. What do we got here? Because obviously a big number. We got a lot of guys doing double duty.
Yeah, with this year, Superkarts USA opening it up for drivers to do both in the pro category for X30 and KA Senior. We got 7 drivers double dipping. A couple of them are junior drivers, so we'll keep an eye on that. But of course, we got 15 of the junior drivers doing both categories as well. So something we're used to seeing. Thought it was going to be a little bit more, but I think drivers are kind of getting back to that focus on one category. Yeah. This way or the other. So roughly about 280 drivers on hand for the weekend.
That's awesome. All right, folks, back to another commercial break. And when we get back, time to go class by class. We'll go Pro Shifter and Pro X30 after this quick break. Parolin is among the winningest brands in the USA and around the world. The Parolin Le Mans full-size chassis for junior and senior classes and the Parolin Opportunity model for cadet divisions have earned success weekend after weekend at all the major championships and events in both the USA and throughout Europe. The Parolin chassis lineup also includes the Invader Shifter, along with the Daytona 4-cycle chassis and the Delfino Kid Kart. Karters can head to the ParolinUSA.com website, where the entire chassis line and parts are available to you, with shipping available all across North America. Parolin USA partners with several companies and race teams across the country to provide a strong dealer network to represent the brand locally and at the national level to support drivers throughout North America. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the rookie, junior, senior, heavy, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the season include the Ignite Majors that begin with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week, running in both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, featuring 5 iconic facilities. Local club programs have also been established in states all across the country, Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite Karting program. Be part of fast, fun, and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to the outlap here of this weekend's Superkarts USA WinterNationals opening round of the Pro Tour. And again, David Cole and I will be trackside on Thursday through to Sunday. Look forward to getting our Paddock Insider rolling on Friday from the track as well, trying to bring you some information that's happening at the racetrack, not so much on track itself. David, let's get started with this class-by-class preview. We'll go Pro Shifter first. 43 entries, as we had mentioned. PSL Karting, the presenting sponsor of the Pro Shifter class on the SCUSA Pro Tour. Of course, winners last year, as we know, Matheus Morgado ended up as the champion with a couple of big victories, but it was Billy Musgrave and that massive victory at the Summer Nats that really kind of caught the focus of a lot of people. David, the bottom line is, let's talk about the program that Superkarts USA put together, because it's brought all of their top 10 back with their full ride for the prize package of last year. Really cool program that they put together.
Yeah, it was. It's certainly emphasizing the support of coming to the Pro Tour, racing at the Pro Tour, and rewarding them with another full season for the following year in terms of, entry and tires being taken care of for the top 10 in the championship program. Again, that's essentially $3,600 for the top 10 drivers from last year. And that prize package continuing again in 2025 as well for both pro categories. So Pro Shifter and X30 Pro as well. So, but yeah, for Pro Shifter, all 10, and that's what you want to see, returning to come back and compete once again on the Pro Tour level, including the Brazilian Matheus Morgado coming back to try and defend. And he's got a tall task, but he wouldn't be alone. We got Fritz Leisman that's won this twice. You have AJ Myers, who went back-to-back, Martin Kremer is going back-to-back, and those are the last two champions. So if Morgado is to come back with back-to-back championships, that'd be 3 straight drivers with back-to-back championships in this category.
Okay, give me some of your thoughts on kind of stories to watch. I think the biggest one, obviously, Danny Formal, who's been one of the best we've had in the last number of years, last couple of almost a couple of decades. Obviously now a star driver in sports car racing, but his move over to GFC for this year's Pro Tour is pretty exciting.
It certainly is. It's going to be an interesting dynamic to watch Formal and Carlton work together, but also Formal with Gulick, with Kyle Wick, with Hunter Pickett. I think he's worked with Pickett before in different programs. I'm not sure I'm pretty sure they worked together at PSL one time or another. But again, that's going to be the interesting dynamic, is watching kind of them go working together and kind of coming. Obviously Formal, you got to figure a Hall of Fame karter. A 4-time Pro Super Nationals winner. Yep. I think he's got 4 or 5 Rotax Grand Nationals. Just tons of victories in both single speed, shifter kart, Rotax, you name it, he's done it. And he's just kind of cementing, his status in the sport. And this combination is going to be interesting because we've seen the GFC do very well in the shifter ranks. Obviously, Kyle Wick, 2023 driver of the year for EKN. We're just missing it last year, obviously, with Morgado having a dominant year last year. So a lot of different dynamics with this new combination.
Yeah, again, and how's it all going to play out when you talk about these guys that have kind of been working together for the last couple of years, Gulick and Pickett and Wick, and then you throw Danny Formal in there. It could easily be fantastic. It could also potentially not be fantastic, but I just think they're all pros. I don't know that it's going to be that much. I think it's going to be all positive. I really do. Moving forward,
right? And again, the GFC brand expanding to Costa Rica with a Formal family, so that's part of the situation there. And obviously, this isn't Danny's main focus. He obviously has the car program in IMSA and
very true.
The Lamborghini stuff as well too. So this is again just to kind of extend, his fitness level, have the opportunity come and rise and race here. Obviously, I think, depending on the schedules, I haven't seen that, but I think the focus is to come and race for a 5th Super Nationals victory. And, partnering with GFC is certainly puts him in capable hands for sure.
Well, 43 drivers, folks, there's going to be a ton of them. We can't really go through everybody. We'll throw just some of the big names that are here. We know AJ Myers, David, you already mentioned him. he's going to be ready to go. He was super strong at the Winter Series race when he was right there, right in the middle of a scrap with Morgado. We had some drama there, which is always fun to have. These guys want to battle each other so hard. Billy Musgrave will be back again, 33 years of age for Billy. Factory Karts program obviously growing as we know. It's taken some major steps forward with new people involved and a new engine program they're working on. So, that whole Factory Karts program is just moving in the right direction. So he's definitely going to be one to watch for sure. I'll tell you who I'm really interested in seeing. Well, first off, let's go to Gavin Bailiff as well, right? With the Winter Series, Gavin was right there in the top 3. This will be, I think, a chance for Gavin and the whole TKG Burrell Art USA program to put themselves, in that top 5, top 10 map.
Yeah, and working with PSL Karting and obviously Morgado and all those drivers under the PSL tent as well too, to get the data, much like they were doing at the SCUSA Winter Series. But that's what the Winter Series is for. Prepare you for the upcoming season. You got Jay Irwin, the driver from New Zealand, coming back. He finished 6th last year. You got Philippe Niemkowitz under PSL tent as well too, finishing 10th last year. So those are some of the returning drivers that again are going to be factors all weekend and all year along as well. So, and then another driver to kind of, I didn't see if Ian Quinn, PSL as well too. Yeah. So a lot of those drivers under the PSL karting tent returning to come back after finishing in the top 10. Another notable from last year's top 10, Talon Yalkel, he's actually joining the Catalyst driver development crew aboard the Ital Kart. So finished 5th last year in the championship. So the Mooresville, North Carolina driver going from privateer last year back to a team racing with Catalyst this year.
How about Justin White, who is right in the middle of the fight in Florida as well in the Winter Series with Maranello USA, and he'll have as his teammate this weekend. There's a couple of 14-year-olds driving here this weekend, David, and a 15-year-old in CJ Bowman, but Gage Korn on a Maranello this coming weekend. 14 years of age. This should be interesting.
Yeah, he does some micro sprint racing on the dirt, so speed and power is not a stranger. I talked to him last week while kind of doing some prep work. He's done cadet shifter, junior shifter, so he's been in a shifter kart a lot. So that's not going to be the learning curve. It's going to be racing everybody in a shifter kart, I think, is going to be his learning curve. But certainly the Maranello and Carblos combination last year, and of course at the Winter Series, is kind of stepped up its game and is going to be there for sure. And Korn could be a surprise. He could be one of those surprises on the weekend. Lots
of data. Justin White, Josh Conker as well with the Carblos team and Maranello, and then of course Gage Korn. The other 14-year-old I was thinking about with Truly Adams. We've seen Truly, of course, be a race winner in KA 100 Junior back in Utah and on the Pro Tour. And last but not least, we got a chance. Dave, you've had a chance to watch the last couple of years of the Challenge of the Americas. This will be a big challenge for Michael Avancino. He was able to kind of dominate the action at a K1 and as well at Tucson. He's the point leader in the Challenge of the Americas, but he and Ron White Racing rolling out here this weekend. Avancino, we'll see where he stacks up when he goes against the best in the sport.
Yeah, he did very well. Summer Nationals last year was a top 10 driver, top 10 at the Super Nationals as well, too. So he's definitely gaining ground and becoming more acumented to the KZ platform because we saw him in the Rock program at the Challenge for a number of years as well, too. So, he definitely could be there. You talk CRG, another driver to watch for, especially at his home racetrack, Aiden Rudolph. A driver who's been doing a lot of laps basically over the last 6 months. I think they've been kind of planning this move to the pro shifter category. And so Rudolph, the designer of the racetrack, Alan Rudolph, his son, now making his pro shifter debut this year. And ironically, his number is the year I was born.
79. David, one last bit here for Velocity Racing by Sodi USA. Adrian Renaudin is coming over. I honestly don't know a ton about him. I should probably dive in and look at that a little bit more, but a top European driver, I believe.
Yeah, KZ2 European champion in 2018. So definitely a veteran of the sport coming in at 25 years of age. So has been around the European scene for a number of years, been racing with a number of different brands. So he will be joining Velocity Racing by Sodi USA. So that's kind of the major international driver. We got more to talk about in the X30 Pro division, but something that was kind of the focus at the SuperNationals was all the international drivers coming over in this category, where a lot of these drivers, a majority of the drivers, are here in the USA. So that's again something we've been craving and wanting for in the pro shifter category for years.
Let's transition over to Pro X30 now, presented by Kart CRG USA. 38 entries in total in Pro X30. Remember, last year's winners included Ryan Norberg and Kai Hunter as the PSL karting group able to dominate the action there up front. Ryan Norberg, 6-time champion in the series. Dave, 5 of the top 10 returning, and a lot of young guns ready to come in to fight for the top of the podium.
Yeah, when you talk about the ones returning, of course, you look at 6-time champion Ryan Norberg coming in, going for a 7th Superkarts USA, record 7th Superkarts USA championship. Diego Ramos returning. He finished 3rd last year with PSL karting. Paulie Massimino, the Brandon Jarzakrak racing driver, finishing 5th last year. Austin Garrison, the Speed Concepts racing driver, returning after finishing 6th a year ago. And then Donovan Bonilla finishing 8th with RPG. So some very notable names, including that last one being a SuperNationals winner as well.
No doubt about it. And listen, there's just so many fantastic drivers in here. Some great stories that are drivers we've been following over the last couple of years that we expect to kind of step up. You look at Olin Galley for Kart CRG USA. He's been, here on and off. Finnegan Bela for TKG Bureau Art USA has stepped things up over the last little while. I love seeing Jake Drew out on the program as well. GFC really stepping up their Pro X30 game, David.
Yeah, Drew racing with Formula Works and GFC. Drew's moving back to California, going to be working with Formula Works full time now after speaking with him during the challenge weekend. And nice. Tony Saragusa. So Drew's going to be focusing on the X30 Pro category this year, while also doing a lot of driver coaching and obviously working out of the shop in 2025. But yeah, GFC's kind of locked and loaded. They got Chase Hand coming in. They have Jesus Vasquez Jr. as well too. And he's of note, he's won at Speed Sports before. He raced last year in the Texas Sprint Racing Series program in the KA Senior Division. So he knows this racetrack very well. Now it's making that step up and racing against the best in X30 Pro. So that's going to be fun to watch. Rob, you mentioned Olin Galley. He's a part of the international flavor that's in this Pro X30 division. You look at, Caden McQueen for Energy Courses America, the British drivers here full-time racing in America in 2025. So he's going to be one to watch, making his SCUSA Pro Tour debut after finishing 3rd in the SCUSA Winter Series behind Joe Turney and Ryan Norberg. So definitely put McQueen up there. Ruben Moya, we got introduced to him at the SuperNationals last year as the top qualifier for Forward Direction Motorsports on the Pantano chassis. So he's coming back to the U.S., the Spaniard is, to make his Pro Tour debut as well. And then one more, Rob, you're going to love this one. Does Enzo Nienkotter name mean anything to you?
I know. I saw that on there and I went, man, how many of his dad's races did we call over the years at the Supernats? A multi-time SuperNationals winner, Leonardo. Awesome to have his kid out here as well. I think that's great.
I couldn't believe that he's now old enough to be in Pro X30, but he is 15 years old. It seems like yesterday he was just starting out in kid karts and cadets, because I remember Leonardo talking so much about him. And that's why we haven't seen Leonardo racing anymore, is because he's put a lot of the focus on Enzo. And so Enzo going to be part of the Inter MS team in Houston. So he'll be making his SCUSA Pro Tour debut, his dad being a former Pro Tour champion.
Yeah, some young guns coming up like Enzo, and that's Ty Fisher. Obviously, he really put a show on at the SuperNationals, just 14 years of age. He'll be running USF Juniors this year as well with Zanello Racing. Chase Gassia-Lee for Nash Motorsports, again, looking at making the move up to cars and potentially next year, but man, focused on karting this year, which is great. Aiden Ingrata back as well for Rawlson Performance Group. Man, he's going to be strong with Aiden. We know how strong he is and how well he's done over the last couple of years. And David, you just finished up a great article about Colin Lloyd and his T1D racers. And again, to see him move to Sony Kart now was kind of was with Speed Concepts, but he worked on his own karts. Now making the move over to Sodi Kart. I like seeing a kid like Colin Lloyd getting a good shot at something.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. He's done some testing with the chassis. Didn't quite have the Daytona weekend he wanted to in KA. So we'll see if the move back over to X30, where he was doing very well at the Orlando Kart Center for the SCUSA Winter Series with Speed Concepts Racing. Did very well there, top 5 finishes. So we'll see if he's able to translate that success into his move over to Sodi Kart and Velocity Racing.
2 more I want to drop in just because we can't leave him be. Blake Nash, number 1, obviously. It will be a driver in the top 10, potentially racing for a win. And then I guess he's probably the elder statesman of the class right now, but Remo Rossetti, who we've seen race in Pro Shifter over the last number of years, he's going single speed racing to start off the Pro Tour. Remo's going to be in, of course, his Catalyst driver development number 95 in Pro X30.
Yeah, I guess he is the elder statesman. I guess you could consider Jake Drew one of them at 25. Olin Galley's 28. Garrison's not a young buck anymore. Neither is Norberg. Coming in at 26. So, but yeah, Remo could race. Could be in the Masters class, and that's the rare thing about it. But he's done a lot of single speed back in his younger days.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see him up there again. He's got to get. He is. It will probably take Thursday to get used to doing the single speed stuff again and not trying to bang in 6th gear, but
reaching down.
Yeah, it'll be again. This field's pretty stacked. You got 15 guys that are capable of winning this one.
That's it. Another quick break, folks. We get back after this one. We'll roll out here with KA100 Senior, Junior, probably K100 Senior and K100 Junior and X30 Junior. A little mix up there. But yeah, when we get back, we've got a couple of big categories, 46 in all 3 of the next previews. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is Sodi Kart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to the new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Sodi Kart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. The Sodi Racing USA by PK Sports is the official race team, producing many victories in different levels across the board. And the new Pro Race Academy is designed to cater to the next generation of motor racing, helping boys and girls aiming to make their mark. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about Sodi Kart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, SuperNationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win. Back at it with the outlap here for the Superkarts USA WinterNationals first round of the Pro Tour. Rob Howden alongside David Cole heading on to Speed Sports Racing Park this weekend. We'll be flying down on Thursday. Looking forward to covering the event. Let's have a look now at the KA100 senior class presented by Nash Motorsports. As I said, all three of the categories we'll preview here in this segment. Topping out at the 46 max. A number of winners last year. Bailiff, Phillips, Overbeck, and Gaffera all scoring victories. It was James A. Overbeck that came away with the championship. But the great thing is, and we talked about it in the Pro Shifter category, when you see the big dogs coming back, that's awesome. David, top four, all back from KA100 Senior last year.
Yeah, the four different winners that you mentioned going to be back. You also look at the top four in the championship. James Overbeck, defending champion, coming in to the weekend with the target on his back, carrying the number one plate. Finnegan Bailiff finishing second. Henry Wheeler, the PSL karting driver, in third. And then Eli Warren, the privateer, finishing last year in fourth. But he's putting away that privateer status anymore, joining Hote's driver development for this weekend. So he'll be racing under the HDD tent this weekend, where Caleb Gaffera raced in Daytona. So kind of a swap there, bringing in Warren to replace Gaffera for the weekend. Gaffera was fast on that machine, so we'll see what Warren's going to be able to do now, working with a team and getting some of that crucial data that certainly a lot of drivers need week in and week out.
Let's start by going with some of the veterans. Then we'll kind of roll into some of the new younger rookies that are kind of coming into the game. Oliver Hodgson will be there for Comp Kart. Obviously, we know the British driver now living in Arizona is a guy who can win any race he rolls out to. So Oliver Hodgson there as well at 31 years of age. Brandon Lemke at 25, one of the veteran drivers as well. But hey, let's talk about his move. Like a long-time Merlin driver moving over to Speed Concepts Racing on the CS55.
Yeah, Lemke made that team debut last weekend in Daytona for the USBKS opener. Was the driver to beat until racing started, and you got to kind of everybody caught back up to him. So the veteran looking to got his rust shaken off from the winter in Daytona, so looking to step that up in Texas. And of course, when you talk about Oliver Hodgson, you came out, won both rounds of the challenge in Tucson.
Yep.
I mean, the guy just wins everywhere he goes. So they skipped going to K1 for the challenge weekend to do some testing in Texas. So he's got laps there. I want to say it's his first race there. I don't think he's raced. Oh, he might have raced the Rotax there before. But yeah, definitely put the veteran, the former Rotax Grand Finals winner on top of the contenders list for sure.
Another driver, a veteran, would be Diego Ramos for PSL Karting, doing the double duty action here. But we have a number of drivers, David, 19, 20, 21 years of age. They've run in the category of number of years and are guys we always expect to do well. I mentioned Blake Nash in the X30 Pro category. How about Frankie Mossman, 19 years of age? He's running in the USF Pro 2000 class this year in our program, the USF Pro Championships. But man, what a great start to the season at the Superkarts USA Winter Series, coming away with the championship, and I would think ahead of steam with the new Jay Howard driver development program.
Yeah, Mossman certainly started the year off right in karting for sure, with a couple of big wins in Orlando and coming away with a championship. So yeah, he's going to be one to watch. You already said Blake Nash, Lemke, Hodgson. I just saw Peyton Phillips, a winner last year, returning. He's from Texas, knows this racetrack very well. Donovan Bonilla running double duty as well too. So that's going to be the interesting part, is now some of these guys doing double duty, taking what they learned from the Pro X30 category, moving it over to KA Senior, or is it going to be too much? Because we talked about it, the physicality of this racetrack, it does kind of beat you up a little bit doing 2 rounds of racing. It's very similar to what we saw in Orlando, where we didn't see very many drivers doing double duty. So we will see that here. Weather conditions, how hard is that going to be doing double duty as well too? So a lot to overcome for those who are racing in both divisions.
Yeah, I throw Oliver Calvo in there. It's hard for me
Yeah.
to believe he's 21 years of age now. Oliver's always seemed to be that younger guy, but yeah, he's definitely a guy that can win Speed Concepts racing. I expect for Oliver to find his way to the front before it's all said and done. But I mentioned, David, and we've talked about it before, there are a lot of young kids that are coming into this KA 100 senior class as well. Mentioned Ty Fisher in Pro X30. This kid is on fire, had a fantastic Super Nationals. Cooper O'Clair at 16 years of age, looking to kind of make a name for himself now in this senior class. And last but not least, at just 13 years of age for Formula Works in the GFC, Nico Sarfati looked really good out of the challenge. It'll be a heck of a battle for him here this weekend in a 46 kart field like this one.
Yeah, he did very well at the challenge race at K1, was up at the front for most of the weekend. But this is a different type of field. There he had a lot of teammates around him to where this time there's not that many GFCs in the field. I think he's the only one. Nope, there are a couple. You got Landon Skinner and another driver. I'm not even going to try and say his name.
Luciano Sosto.
There you go. That's why I have you, Rob.
That's what I'm here for.
But yeah, no Keegan Kaminsky this weekend. So that was the driver we saw at the K1 circuit kind of dominate there, where Nico was kind of second best on the weekend. So we'll see how Nico does up against some of the big names and the more experienced drivers in this category.
Indeed. All right, let's move on to the next class, David, and that would be the X30 Junior presented by Rawlson Performance Group. Again, 46 entries, a full field. Last year, of course, we saw Diego Ardiles, Jackson Wolney, Turner Brown. Those three drivers all come away with wins. Ardiles was a driver eventually won that championship. I don't think Ardiles is back, but we will have Sarah Bradley, Alexander Vanchev, Max Weiland, Tristan Murphy, four of the drivers that I highlighted, David, when I scrolled down through the list here for the pro junior category.
Yeah, none of the winners from last year returning. They've all Brown not moved up, but he's racing over in Europe. Yeah. Ardila's not racing this event. If he does, he's in the senior category moving forward. And then Jackson Wolney also moving up into cars as well. So, yes, returning from last year's top 10, you got Sarah Bradley, Alexander Vanchev, Max Weiland, Tristan Murphy. Those are kind of the drivers returning. Those are actually kind of the four drivers with the most experience in the field, especially you look at a driver like Sarah Bradley, who I think she lived in Texas for a little bit. Am I right?
She did. Yep. That's right.
So she's got some Texas roots now living in Florida, but she's among the more experienced, finished second in the championship for the Florida Winter Tour that just wrapped up last weekend at Speed Sports. But Vanchev, our February driver of the month, he's certainly kind of the hot hand in terms of the junior categories right now, coming off the two championships at the SCUSA Winter Series. But so, and then Max Weiland and Tristan Murphy, they're kind of the drivers on the rise after getting a year or two under their belts now. Great. Murphy 13, Weiland 13. So they got a couple year, or at least a year under their belt now in the junior ranks.
A couple of drivers that really impressed us, I think, when we were at K1 with the challenge event. That was Jackson Gibson and Eric Doan. Both those drivers putting on really good shows up front. I think both will really look to kind of build off that, David, in terms of momentum and confidence. They were really strong there. Now you're rolling to the SCUSA Pro Tour at 46 drivers. This is when you want to step up and really make sure you're on the podium again, right?
Yeah, and I think this is Gibson's first outing in the X30 division. I know he's done the singles. He did KA all last year. Yeah. So he did the single speed or the 100cc stuff last year. And then Doan did that majority of the year last year. So this is kind of their first pro tour in the X30 junior division. So that's going to be it could be a learning curve for them again, because different package, races differently as well too. So you have that to kind of watch. They're kind of the West Coast drivers kind of representing at the WinterNationals this weekend.
David, you mentioned we were at the K1 race. There was a lot of GFCs up front in the junior categories. One of the teams obviously is always strong in the junior class here is Rawlson Performance Group. And you just look at how many of their colors, that purple and pink we're going to see. Jose Halfin up front, Cole Medeiros running with them here this weekend, the Canadian. Then you go down to Luca Popescu and Jackson Porter. Porter was really strong in the Winter Series in Orlando, kind of really stepped things up. You throw Fion Shi in there as well. Remember, this is also, with the team kind of being led to a certain extent by Alexander Vanchev. They've just got so many bullets in the gun. They're in a good place right now to potentially have a lot of their drivers, RPG drivers in the top 10 and potentially on the podium.
Yeah, Fion Shi had a good showed the speed at the Winter Series, I should say. Top qualifier, I think, both days in the finale there, even coming from the B group. So just didn't quite get the luck to be on the top of the podium. But Popescu, that's an interesting move. He was with the GFC brand, raced GFC at the Challenge of the Americas race at K1 and Tucson. So moving over to RPG, maybe possibly just for the Pro Tour, not sure. So we'll have to talk with Luca when we get to Texas. But that's certainly another bullet in the gun for RPG on the weekend.
A couple of the young drivers have moved up. Of course, Asham Woon now running with Speed Concepts Racing. You look at Travis Pettit as well, who was a race winner, a Pro Tour winner in the mini category coming up into the junior class. David Ybarra. David, you and I have watched him over the last couple of years running for Kart CRG USA, the Texan Ybarra, I think. And again, knowing the fact that he has seat time, has done well in the Texas Sprint Racing Series. Again, you expect all these drivers to come in. They're the top drivers in the sport, but there's always that little bit extra if you have some of that local knowledge that you can maybe pick up the speed more quickly. Yeah,
he could be the oh my gosh, his name's just throwing me out. Elio Meza from last year's USPKS weekend.
There you go.
Where he came in, just raced that race because he knew the racetrack. Where Ybarra, this could be his moment to kind of shine. We've seen him do it at Challenge of the Americas in Tucson. Win there, and of course win at the Texas Sprint Racing Series as well too. So this could be his time to shine on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, a lot of big guns coming into that one. Listen, a lot of them are going to be running. Well, not a lot of them. 15 of them, I think David says. Was it 15 double duties?
15. Yeah.
15 of the drivers we probably talked about are also going to be moving into KA 100 Junior, presented by TKG Barrel Art USA. 46 entries. Winners last year. We've already talked about Turner Brown and Diego Ardiles. We won't see them here this weekend. Enzo Vidmontien was a winner last year as well. But we do have some big guns coming back in. Isaac Malkit, Alexander Vanchev, and Travis Pettit all back, David, for KA 100 Junior.
Yeah, and it says Malkit's back with PSL Karting on the Burrell Art. He did run with Mike Doty Racing at the Daytona event. So I assume with Doty not going to the Pro Tour that they're back with PSL Karting for this weekend. So it could have just been a one-off there for them. Mm-hmm. But that's another driver that, is kind of on the cusp of getting that first big victory on the either USPKS or Pro Tour program. We've already talked about Alexander Vanchev, how well he's doing thus far in 2025. So he's a top 10 driver returning after finishing 9th last year. And then you mentioned Travis Pettit already in X30. He's a double duty driver as well. So this is where the category he kind of has been right there after last year being his rookie season in the junior ranks. So I would expect to see all three of those drivers towards the front of this large field in Texas.
Yeah, we mentioned Jackson Gibson, another one of your double duty drivers. Nathan Dupuis will run both races. Cole Medeiros, Tristan Murphy, both running those races as well. Luca Popescu. Also, let's talk maybe about Tyrone Kemper Jr. for Speed Concepts Racing, David. He was right in it at the Winter Series. And of course, we'll look to kind of keep the momentum rolling here. He's been to Speed Sports before, but Tyrone was right there, top 10 on a regular basis in the Winter Series.
Yeah, comes in as last year's Texas Sprint Racing Series champion. So certainly knows his way around the Lone Star State. The NOLA native is certainly improving as he, again, only 12 years old. So moved up to the junior ranks last year early. So getting his second year now. So expect to see good things out of Tyrone this weekend and as the season goes along.
Yeah, David Ybarra, another driver running the double duty in the weekend as well. So all those drivers, the ones that we expect, I think, David, to be kind of up front.
Yeah, I'm kind of just cruising. You said a lot of the names that I would consider to be those in the mix. Of John McCullen, another rookie driver coming up into the junior ranks after running mini last year.
Braden Wagner.
that was the other. Yep, sorry, that was the one I was going to get to. Yeah, Braden Wagner, two-time challenge champion, now in the junior ranks. So kind of see if he can get himself up towards the front half of this large field that will be battling this weekend.
Also, Nico Katowski, he's been doing a lot of driving, and this will be, I think, all focused on trying to come out of the gate strong here. So I with Katowski with TKG Trinity Karting Group, that could be another guy to maybe put a little bit of a pointer on.
Yeah, I ran at the Florida Winter Tour finale last weekend there in Texas. So got to get seat time at the racetrack itself. Finished. I was going to look up his results. I can't find it right now, so I'll have to I'll look at that later. But doing the double duty, it's getting him up to speed very quickly. Working with Colin Brown for a driver coach, and of course the TKG crew as well too. So yeah, he could be another one of those rookies that kind of moves up the ranks on the day.
All right, folks, just 3 more categories to go on our final break in this edition of the OutLap. When we get back, we'll talk Master Shifter and both Mini and Micro Swift. Are you planning to challenge yourself at this year's Superkarts USA WinterNationals at Speed Sports in March? If so, get prepared by joining the premier regional kart racing series in Texas, in Houston, on the February 21 to 23 weekend. It's the first event of this year's Texas Sprint Racing Series, and it kicks off their 5-race schedule that travels all over Texas and Louisiana. Trips to the Amarillo Kart Circuit, Kart Moto, NOLA Motorsports Park, and the Dallas Karting Complex complete our calendar, and we're excited to welcome all of our racers back to the track. After the Speed Sports opener in February, the Texas Sprint Race Series returns to the Amarillo Kart Circuit for a weekend of night racing on May 30 to June 1. This track is based on the F1 circuit in Turkey, and the ownership continues to make improvements to this special facility. The TSRS will make its second trip to the Kart Moto facility in Crescent, Texas on July 18 to 20, and then round 4 is set for NOLA Motorsports Park on September 19 to 21. This year's championship finale will be held at the Dallas Karting Complex on October 17 to 19. Don't miss any of the action. Details on the rules and class structure, along with the list of the full championship prize package for the official Superkarts USA and International Kart Federation Series, can be found at TexasSprintSeries.com. With over 35 years of manufacturing experience, Precision Karting Technologies is the leader in American-made components. We produce high-quality products, led by our full line of chromoly and mild steel axles. Metric or imperial, standard or custom, we have what you need. Collars, keys, bearings, we're the source for axle components in the USA. We're not just axles either. At PKT, we can manufacture motor mounts, hubs, brake rotors, and even GoPro mounts. We're also the choice for axle and chassis straightening. We've designed a dedicated table for the sole purpose of straightening and laser aligning your chassis. If needed, we have the capability to cut, replace, and weld portions of your chassis as well. Big crash bent your frame? Send it to us. Broke a spindle yoke off in a wreck? We can replace it. You don't need to toss that expensive frame in the trash bin. We can fix it. We can repair and straighten chassis, and we CNC machine the finest karting products in the country. With over 70 dealers throughout the US and Canada, it's easy to choose PKT. Family owned and operated, proudly made in the USA. PKT. What's in your cart? All right, it's time to wrap things up here of this edition of the OutLap, firing up our coverage, our trackside coverage of this coming weekend Superkarts USA Pro Tour opener, the WinterNationals at Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. Rob Howden alongside David Cole, as we will be throughout the weekend down in Texas. Of course, I'll be alongside Xander Clemens and the good guys at Kart Chaser. David will be providing all the coverage on the weekend. Let's get started with Master Shifter, presented by Rocket Racing Company. 12 entries, as we had said. We'll hope for a couple more to come in, but double digit, as David said, is big. Scott Skitchy Barnes comes in as the champion. He scored a couple of wins last year, as did Joe Rook, who we said will not be, at least at the Winter Nationals. We may see him at the Summer Nationals as a local driver living in Greenfield, Indiana. But Skitchy Barnes coming in with that number 1 on the side of the cart, looking to go at it. But he'll have a couple of drivers here, David. You mentioned it at the very start. There's a really interesting group of drivers here in the Master Shifter class that are going to make things a lot of fun.
Yes, certainly that. You know, Sketchy Barnes coming off a podium finish at Daytona for USPKS, going single speed, something he hasn't done. He's done a lot of Briggs racing there in Daytona, but never did the single speed KA stuff. So got acclimated to that really quick and looking to carry that momentum. You know, won at the Winter Series, so has that championship already under his belt coming in as a defending champion. So momentum on the side for Barnes, but yeah, a lot of notable names. One of them being you look at Scott Priesty, the Florida driver racing on the Croc Promotion chassis. He raced over at the European Championships and the World Championships for Masters Racing. Did very well, was a top 10 contender at the Worlds. So certainly has the speed. Didn't quite have it in Orlando to kind of go at, or actually race the senior category.
He raced senior.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That's right.
So yeah, he could be the driver to beat, you know, going up against Barnes for sure. One name I know you're itching to talk about, a fellow Canadian, Scott Hargrove.
Yeah. Interesting to see Scott Hargrove on there. Of course, a driver we've seen running for Italian Motors for the last many years as a younger driver coming up. Went through the Cole Car program, the Road to Indy, was a USF 2000 race winner, got all the way up to Indy Lights, which is now Indy Next. But of course, he and Ray Mower City have been developing their Catalyst driver development program over the last couple of years. And Scott Hargrove hitting that magic 30 years of age mark, becomes eligible for Masters. And I'm sure while you're racing, got your other guys running, might as well jump in and do some shifter racing once again. Great to see Scott's name down on there. And of course, he and Cameron Castles, his teammate at Catalyst, that could be an interesting thing to watch, to see if Hargrove has the pace to run against these guys that have been running Master Shifter for the last couple of years.
Yeah, one of them racing Master Shifter over the last couple of years, Justin Kelly, Maranello USA, Team Kelly Racing Kart, the driver out of Nebraska. He kind of came on the scene a couple of years ago out of the flatbed trailer, open trailer with him and his wife, and certainly surprised everybody with the work he was able to do on and off the racetrack. So he's going to be one of those drivers that'll be in the mix all weekend for sure. And then the driver I'm kind of watching because of my road racing roots, I've seen him race shifter karts on the big track a lot, is Pierce Baldus. Racing now with Kart CRG USA and the LSR factory team. He raced the KA Master category last year at the Texas Sprint Racing Series, came away with the championship. So he's gotten used to the master side of things, now a dad as well too. So that's another way to introduce yourself into masters racing, is becoming a father. But the guy has a lot of experience in shifter kart racing for sure. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Obviously, we know I'm a little biased on the CRG package. I know it's fast and 4-cycle and all other things, especially the shifter kart models. I'm excited to see kind of what he can do up against Barnes and Hargrove, Kelly and Priesty, and another one, Victor Jimenez, another longtime Masters driver. He's now 53 years old. It seems like he's been at the Pro Tour in the Masters category since it started back in 2010. So racing for RPG on the Tony kart, he's always there pace wise. Certainly has the ability to be on the podium this weekend.
And let's not leave out Larry Pegram, right? One of the riders of American motorcycle superbike racing that has been one of the stars of that part of the sport. He's been racing shifter karts for many years as well. I remember him back in the Superkarts USA Pro Moto Tour back in the early 2000s, coming around with Leading Edge Motorsports. So Larry Pegram will be out there as well, running with TKG Barrel Art USA. So good to see him out there too. So again, David, like you said, a lot of great storylines. Only 12 drivers in the field, but there's a lot of great stories we'll be able to talk about throughout the show.
Yeah, it's gonna be great to kind of see how this class unfolds, because you got, if it does become wet, who's going to be the standout, because it's not all out speed. It's going to be about finesse. And that's something that racing a shifter kart in the rain is certainly fun to watch.
Let's move on to Mini Swift, brought to you by Speed Concepts Racing. 44 drivers in the category. Big name winners last year, names like a Royce Vega, Troy Ferguson. 3 wins for Ashton Woon en route to the championship. Woon, of course, has moved up into the junior categories, but Ferguson's back. Royce Vega's back. Enzo De Janeiro back. Brandon Ing is all back as well. There's 4 drivers right there that we threw out that are returning that could be among those on the podium when we're all said and done.
Yeah, I would think Ferguson and Vega having wins already under their belts coming into 2025 from last year are kind of the drivers that stand out as those who will be top contenders. But there's a lot of drivers in this field that are going to be in the mix. But De Janeiro, he pretty much had the winter. If you look at, January and February, winning the SCUSA Winter Series program, and the Rotax Winter Trophy, all in Orlando for Parallel Motorsport USA. He's kind of been a shock, at least for me, like to see the progression. We talked with him going to the Rotax Grand Finals last year as a micro driver. So really his first full year in the mini category after I think he moved up halfway on the season from micro to mini, at least here in the US. And so he's been kind of a cool story to watch and see how quickly he's adapted to the elder side of the cadet division. But, you look at the mini category, you have to say his name because of just how successful he's been in the micro Swift last year. But Zane Burgess, the driver out of Florida, the Jamaican sensation for Velocity Racing by Sodi USA. Racing now internationally, did a couple of races already in Europe after racing at the Winter Series. Certainly was among the contenders at the Winter Series, racing against De Janeiro and all the Bryce Vega and others and Ferguson. So again, more names to go through, Rob.
Yeah, this is it. There's so many fantastic drivers we're watching, that we know that are going to be up front. And it's, again, as an announcer, it's really easy because it's just the names that you continually talk about, session after session after session. You talk about Wayne Godshock, you talk about Connor Lipka and Maxwell Macha, right? Liam Nakawati as well. And listen, a driver like Liam Nakawati, David, we're seeing, and you and I are seeing this, over at the WSK races, the Supermaster Series. We've got this. I've been doing this for a long time, 30-something years, and we haven't seen the kind of success over in Europe as we've seen, just to start off 2025 with Lucas Palacio and the drivers that we've seen up front.
Wayne Godshock, yeah.
Wayne Godshock. I mean, these are the drivers who are up front winning races, winning championships over there right now. It's not something we've seen over the last number of years.
Yeah, and it's funny. I talk about how I think the U.S. is above the rest of the world in terms of cadet racing because the micro and mini with the Rotax program started here in the U.S. and eventually started expanding across the globe. You look at the 2013. I know we're dating ourselves, Rob.
Yeah, that's true.
But you look at the 2013 Rotax Grand Finals where it was the U.S. and Canada's drivers that were making the mini and micro debut at that event.
Yeah.
We've had the Brent Cruz, the Connor Zillages of the U.S. go and compete against the rest of the world and win in those categories. So at the cadet level. So yeah, the U.S. is pretty strong when you look at the cadet level. So we say Zane Burgess. You look at Lawrence Perriman, Cameron Johnson, Godshock, Jaden Francisco. Those are some of the rookies moving up from the micro Swift that are already finding success here in the mini category after 3 months
how about
in the division.
How about Danny O'Gara and Santiago Orioli?
Well, yeah, so this is an interesting story because both drivers used to be racing for MPG Motorsports and now will be racing under Velocity Racing by Sodi USA. So that's going to be an interesting story. So we didn't know about this till we saw the entry list. So we'll kind of follow that up with a Paddock Insider on those two drivers joining that team for the WinterNationals.
Yeah, a couple last names I would throw out there just because we've been talking a lot about them. One of them would be Colton Schniegenberg, although just 10 years of age. Watch for him to be in it. Lucas Tarango has shown really well over the last year and a half. David up running up front. Aston Wyatt as well, one of the local drivers, the Texan. Again, at 12 years of age, knows this track extremely well. I will put him in the discussion as well.
Yeah, definitely a winner at the Texas Sprint Racing Series program. Making that transition over to Nitro Kart showed well at the Winter Series, picking up a win, I think, in the final round there in Orlando. But 4 Nitro Karts in the field. Again, Nitro Kart's been doing very well in 2025 thus far.
Let's wrap this outlap up with the Micro Swift category presented by Velocity Racing by Sodi USA. 31 entries in total. And the one big thing is this is a really brand new field. Only one driver returning from last year. Zane Burgess with a couple of wins last year. Ramirez and Francisco coming in. Burgess actually 4 victories en route to the championship. But David, only one driver returning, and that is Dutch Westbrook. Otherwise, it's all brand new drivers, many who have used the opening events of 2025 to step to the forefront to show that they're ready to challenge for race wins.
Yeah, the Team Bennett driver from Texas knows this racetrack, even though he's from Fort Worth, has been to Speed Sports multiple times. He was a winner at the SCUSA Winter Series along with Marcelo Flores. So those are kind of the names that stand out. Flores racing with Jay Howard, driver development on the Kart Republic. One of his teammates, Hudson Howard, coming off victory at the Daytona event for USPKS. So he's going to be one to watch. Driver I keep talking about, I think he's got to pick up a victory. Lennox Lockhart, we talked about him all throughout the Winter Series, was right there. It looked like he was going to pick up a victory until contact on that final lap at the finale round took him out of contention. But the driver for Velocity Racing by Sodi USA, certainly among the drivers to watch. Brody Stoffel coming off victory last weekend at the Florida Winter Tour finale. He's kind of bouncing around teams. Last weekend was Kart CRG USA, returning back with Jay Howard driver development. It says on Sodi Kart, so who knows what he's doing? I don't know.
Other drivers, let's just throw some names out here. Jack Katowski we've seen here. Aiden Go has been super strong. Zev got shocked following his brother win. Liam Francesco, I think a kid to watch as well. Again, his brother's running as well, Tristan. But this is going to be a lot of drivers in this lead group. And I will say this, David, at Orlando for the Winter Series races that you and I both attended, I think the micro category was probably the best racing. They respected each other. The racecraft was there. They broke away in packs and tried to drop the guy, tried to work to drop the guy at the back and stretch away. They didn't fight and allow everybody to get back into the scrap. They were actually probably the best behaved group of the entire Winter Series.
Well, and, thinking back to the last 2 times I was at Speed Sports, I think the micro division was one of the best races of the weekend. So I would expect to see the same thing. But I'm trying to clarify. So Liam and Tristan Francisco, those are the 2 brothers, correct?
I believe so.
And then they're cousins to Jaden Francisco.
There you go. Well, listen, there's your paddock. There's a paddock insider.
Well, again, I talked to them at the Daytona podium when we were doing it. And we're like, yeah, Jaden and so are not brothers, they're cousins.
Okay.
So I don't know if one of these guys is Jaden's brother or if Tristan and Liam are brothers. I don't know, but we're gonna have to find out.
We're getting to the bottom of this.
We're gonna do a photo. How about that? And we'll kind of have father with drivers or parents with I don't know how we're gonna do it.
I like it. All right, folks, that wraps things up for this edition of the Outlap. Of course, when we get on site on Friday, we'll begin our coverage. We'll give you our 1-minute flats to start off the day and start off our coverage on social media. David will get to work on the Paddock Insider, and we'll work our way around the paddock to get this Pro Tour underway. Looking forward, of course, to being with Kart Chaser, as I said before, Xander Clements and the crew to provide the coverage. Another year for me of being at least one of the voices on the coverage of the Pro Tour for many years. Early on, of course, was EKN Trackside Live audio coverage, and starting all the way back in 2010, as David had mentioned, when we were at Sonoma Raceway to kick off the very start of what is now a 16-year program. Follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, X, and Instagram. We'll use the hashtag EKN at SCUSA. That'll be our primary one. Hashtag SCUSA Pro Tour, hashtag SCUSA, hashtag WinterNats 2025, hashtag Speed Sports. You can use all of those to search on social media for all the stuff that's coming out. Otherwise, we'll still be streaming the live audio, right, David? We'll have that rolled up, the Kart Chaser audio.
Yeah, we'll be streaming all the audio all weekend long. I believe they're going to be set up in the rental cart building. I'll probably be up in the actual Rob Howden / David Cole Tower. But make sure you tune in. If you can't pull up the live broadcast, you can listen to it on ekartingnews.com/live, or you can head to the EKN Radio Network app.
There it is, folks. Wrapping things up. We are done with the initial component of our trackside coverage for this coming weekend, Superkarts USA Winter Nationals. Again, the opening round of the Pro Tour, March 28th to 30th at Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. Again, remember, folks, 3 events, 6 races, best of 5 to see who comes away as the champion for 2025. Thanks for tuning in again. We do appreciate it. Big thank you to Factory Carts for being our presenting sponsor of the show. Otherwise, we are done. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.